The thing, they were going to breach that Tyrone defence, you felt at some stage?
Well, they had missed 4 goal chances, and that's, I mean, really from the 26th minute when Eamon O'Hara scored a great point that sort of rallied the troops, and then Sligo started to play. Up until that, it had been like a National League game, and Tyrone were playing lovely decorative football, but there was no pressure on. I mean, after O'Hara scored that point, then all of a sudden Sligo got stuck in and they were much stronger. I mean, this is a point when a goal was on. I mean, Mark Breheny, I mean, this was another great chance, Jerry McGowan. I mean, Sligo were totally on top in the middle of the park. They were totally on top at half-back and the half-forward line. I mean, only Peter Canavan was standing between them and disaster. And the goal had to come. It just had to come. And Desi Sloan showed plenty of composure to score it. I mean, it was a very harsh lesson for Tyrone, but I think the reality is that it was going to happen sooner or later. They just have too many problems. You can't, I mean, I don't think, Pat, you can win All-Irelands if you don't have a midfield.
That's true. I mean, basically, you know, Tyrone's team today, or play today, it reminded me a bit of a fella building a house who decided to, you know, who decided to employ Ireland's best interior designer. And you end up having the nicest curtains in the parish, but you've already employed cowboy builders to put up the blocks, and suddenly the house collapses. Your pretty curtains aren't much use. Tyrone had pretty curtains in the shape of Canavan or O'Neill up front. But behind them, they had nothing. They had a half-forward line, non-existent. Pascal Canavan is not a half-forward. Brian Dewar will not score. McCrossan is a converted wing-back. The midfielders are 2 converted centre-backs. They're small guys, and if a big footballer meets a small footballer, a big footballer will win.
Fine.
This is a Tyrone team, Michael, that are very talented, came up through the ranks, but are going nowhere under present management. They need a new broom and they need a few big fellas.
But having said all of that, it's easy to say that now that we know the result of the match and Sligo have won. 15 minutes into the game, you were hoping that Sligo wasn't going to get beaten by more than 15 points. What happened after that?
Even up to half an hour, I think, because Sligo kept into solely through individual efforts. And I picked out, I think the first clip probably maybe sums up why Sligo's renaissance started. And here we have it. First of all, they started winning the centre field battle. A good catch here by Noel Maguire. And secondly, they implied a 2-man full forward line, Sline and McGowan, but they never hit him in the first half an hour. Now, watch this. The long ball is being kicked in. McGowan gets it. It's back out to McGarty over the bar. One midfield, long ball. The second thing they did was, at the first half, first 20 minutes, they afforded too much luxury, too much time and space to Tyrone the ball. Watch this. This is in the last 10 minutes of the first half, where they tightened up considerably, forced Tyrone into errors. And they did, and again, the same thing, the long ball out of attack into McGowan. That's what they did. The third thing they did in the second half, they hunted in packs like Tyrone did in the first half. Watch Tyrone trying to walk the ball out of the fence. Watch the hunting, the harrying, the chasing. There's no fouling. There's no fouling. They get a hand in, and eventually Tyrone are dispossessed. And again, at the end of the game, the final clip I picked out, they showed great composure. They're a goal up. They need another insurance point. They don't rush into anything. They play nice possession football, walk it across the field, McGowan to Durkin. Durkin doesn't rush into it. McGowan gets it back to Durkin, 40 yards out, over the bar. It's the insurance score, 4 points up. It was a very enjoyable game of football, a very, very deserved victory for Sligo, and good for the game.
They're into the last 8, Joe Brawley. Can they advance from there? Can they go another step?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, I think that of the last 8...
Depends on who they're drawn against,
if they get Tipperary.
Or Cork.
That's always possible. But you know, I mean, they're very strong. They've got a lot of traditional virtues that are required. They have a great midfield. Eamon O'Hara is absolutely explosive. I mean, today he was just explosive. Durkin's a good, strong man to have alongside you. And they've got plenty of power through the field. After 20 minutes, they just started to knock the Tyrone men out of their way. And really, after that, there was only one team going to win the game. I mean, they overwhelmed them in all the traditional virtues of the game. And they've got some very knacky forwards. I mean, they've also got a sense of mission about them. You know, I mean, they played with great drive and conviction.
Yeah, I don't know whether it was Pat Spillane or Colin O'Rourke on the live programme this afternoon said that they stood up like men. No, then obviously it wasn't you. It was Joe Brawley or Colin
Yeah, they did, yeah. I mean,
they stood up like men today.
They did for 20 minutes. You know, they reminded me a bit of Sligo. The first 20 minutes reminded me of Sligo's performance in 1975 against us, where they afforded Kerry total respect and left them play away. And they did that today for 20-25 minutes to Tyrone, and suddenly they showed no more respect. And when they put it up to Tyrone, they found the weaknesses, they found the flaws in Tyrone's game, and like I said, they stood up to them, showed great composure, great belief, and deserved victory, like I say.
All right, gentlemen, now we come to the man of the match selection from that game. OK, this time it was your choice, but before we see who that was, here's what our panel thought. They felt that it was a choice between Eamon O'Hara, Darren McGarity and Paul Durkin for Sligo. Well, the players then who started to come out on top from your phone calls were Eamon O'Hara and Dessie Sloan got, of course, that all-important goal in the match. But the final selection was Eamon O'Hara. Well, this afternoon, O'Hara was captain of Sligo in title and in influence and the performance he put in. Hard to see Sligo winning this match without his presence, Joe Bradley.
Particularly in the first half, whenever it looked as if Tyrone were going to dance all over him, O'Hara kept him, and it was 2 rousing points. And I mean, he was marauding forward like a Viking coming up the beach heading for a nunnery, you know. And he was just really phenomenal. At one stage, there was a break in the play for about a minute and a half, and the camera went to O'Hara, and he was still gasping from his effort. I mean, gasping after a minute and a half of a break in the play. And that summed him up. I mean, he was everywhere. His fetching, his work rate, driving the troops on. And at 26 years of age, playing at the very peak of his powers, I thought it was the best individual performance I've seen this year. He was absolutely massive.
OK, Joe Bradley, thank you for that. Time for us to take another break on the Sunday game.
Great fun.